Welcome back to the show. The MASC Arts Awards took place on May the 12th and handed out to so many amazing artists. That's what I love about this city and this show in particular, is that we get to showcase some of them. And we get to tell you about some of the great mentorship programs. And my next guest is one of those mentors with MASC. I am joined by Laurie Gough, who is a writing mentor and an author yourself, and journalist, I should say. Laurie, welcome to the show. Great to have you here.
Thanks. It's nice to be here.
Let's talk about, first of all, your background as a journalist. Give me a little background on yourself.
I actually started writing because I was a traveler. So I was a world traveler for pretty much all through my 20s and early 30s. I kind of did the extreme sort of sleeping in caves and hollowed out redwood trees, and I was in 42 countries and hitchhiking alone on several continents, doing crazy stuff I would never do now. But because of that, I always kept a journal, and because I always kept a journal, I just kept writing and writing and writing, 20-page letters home to my parents and to my friends. And then I got home and I realized I had so many journals full of all these details of different places I'd been. So I just started writing travel stories, and then that led me to, I realized I was writing a book, so I sent it off, and I was really lucky. It was published by Random House, and then I had another book that was published by Penguin. And then from there, I sort of became a travel writer by writing for the Globe and Mail and the Toronto Star and different publications, magazines, and newspapers about my travels. And so that kind of, I realized my obsession with traveling had kind of morphed into my obsession with writing. And so all these years later, I'm still writing.
I mean, geez, we got to have a show just you, because I would love to hear about, somebody like 42 countries. The stories you must have. I know you put them in the book, but just to verbally share those stories would be do you do that kind of thing? Like, do you speak in front of audiences and share?
Yeah, I used to do that a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about the fact that you were part of the MASC Arts Awards. You were selected as a mentor. Tell me how that role came to be.
Okay, so that is this organization in Ottawa called MASC, and they sound fantastic. It's new to me, but they've been around for many, many years, and they bring arts into schools, into the whole Ottawa area, and I imagine also Chelsea and Wakefield, where I'm from. And this year, and every year, once a year, they award 5 students an award, dance, music, literary arts, visual arts. There's probably one other one I'm missing, drama. And so this 13-year-old girl won for literary arts, and she just happened to be from Wakefield, where I'm from.
Oh, excellent.
So somehow they figured out there are a couple authors in Wakefield. I think maybe there's definitely Brian Doyle, who's a fantastic author, but I just love him. But he's 80 now, so maybe he wouldn't have wanted to accept this, or they luckily asked me. So I'm going to be Kaya's mentor. Her name's Kaya Hepwell, and she just turned 14. She's an incredible writer. She's so young, it's incredible. It's so mature, her writing just blows me away.
How would you describe her writing?
Well, I'll tell you how I got to see her writing is because every year I go to Mexico to the San Miguel Allende Writers Conference, and I teach writing there, and I teach a course in travel writing and a course in memoir writing. And this past year, Kaya came with her dad, and they were in my class, in my travel writing class, and I thought that was so cool because it's all adults. There are hardly ever kids actually never kids that come to these classes. It's in the middle of the school year, and so I got the kids to do, or not the kids, I got the adults to do some writing exercises. I talk about the importance of show, don't tell, which is kind of the #1 rule of writing, show instead of tell. And it's sort of a difficult concept for some people to get. So I gave them this exercise where they write a pretend postcard, and they include all kinds of details, not just, we're having a great time, it's wonderful, everything is amazing. Just scrap that type of writing. Only write details of what you're actually seeing and hearing and experiencing in specific details. So anyway, people did that. They loved that exercise, and then some of the people were reading their stories aloud, and I was thinking, they didn't actually listen to what I said. But then it was Kaya's turn, and she read, and hers was probably the best in the whole class, and she was 13 at the time.
Wow.
This is just this past February. And it was so good what she read. It just blew me away, and I couldn't believe it. And then it turned out that I'm going to be her writing memoir for the next year. So it's really fun.
What does that year look like? How will you and Kaya work together?
Well, from what I know is apparently she's working on a novel, which will be really cool. Can you imagine what 14-year-old kid is working on a novel? So she'll send me pieces of her book, and I'll look at it and give her feedback and talk to her in person and online. I imagine we can get together in person because we're both in Wakefield, and just give her tips and advice and encourage her.
I've never heard that description before, Laurie, and I've talked to a lot of authors in that show, don't tell. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so instead of saying something like Hank is mad, show how Hank is mad. Hank stormed into the room and threw a piece of wet cereal at his Aunt Trudy.
Where is this story going, Laurie? No, but I understand what you mean.
It's something that you can picture. You want the reader to be able to picture something in their mind.
Right.
So instead of using adjectives and adverbs, you use concrete language of real things that are specific.
Has this touched on you then? I'm sure you've always felt this way, but seeing this young person and how much potential is in it, I mean, this must be pretty special, right? I mean, it's important to find those, that next generation of writers.
That
right?
is so true, especially because I don't think they really teach creative writing in schools anymore.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
My son was in school. He went to the same school in the same high school as Kaya. He graduated a couple of years ago, and I think all those years he had 2 creative writing assignments. And it's so sad because kids love creative writing, and it teaches them to write. And so I just really wish that teachers would let kids just write.
It's like we're
more.
losing the idea of letting kids have an imagination, whether it's writing or art, or like we correct them. Oh no, the sky can't be purple; it's supposed to be blue. And I don't know why we do that. Laurie, this has been a great conversation. I really appreciate it, and thanks so much for joining us. And just from all of us here at Rogers TV, Kaya, congratulations! Can't wait to read your novel. We'll be right back after this.